Hi everybody. This video is going to be about the assignments for the week in PHI 103. I know that this course seems a bit overwhelming and that there's more assignments to complete than in perhaps some other courses that you've taken, but I hope that you won't be intimidated early on and that you will dedicate yourself to continual work, and you'll find, I think, that the level of work is very similar to the other courses at Ashford. So let's talk about week one. The first thing you need to do on Tuesday is post your introduction and take the critical thinking quiz. So get in there, post your introduction, and then the critical thinking quiz is a non-graded item. So we give the quiz basically just to get a baseline for your critical thinking skills in relation to certain activities in the quiz. So it's not worth any points, so you don't need to stress out. If you don't know the answer, just choose the answer choice that you believe is the best choice. And if you do know the answer, then that's great. Whatever your score is overall, again, it doesn't matter in relation to your overall grade, so don't stress about that, but be sure to get that done. Let's talk about the quizzes this week. There are 3 quizzes. One is over the readings, one is over the media, and one is about the library. The readings quiz is due by Friday, so be sure to complete that quiz by Friday at midnight. And then the media and library quizzes are due by midnight on Sunday. Now again, that's more quizzes than what you're probably used to, but because of the structure of the course and because of certain things that we're trying to do here, we split up the quiz into multiple components so that you can just focus in, just do the readings and then focus in on the readings quiz. Do the view the media for the week and then focus in on the media quiz, and then do the library tutorials and do the library quiz. And you'll find that really the media and library quizzes are based on relatively short and small tutorials, and you should find them fairly easy to complete. The readings quiz is over the readings for each week, so it's going to be a bit more extensive. But again, there are usually between 40 and 60 pages a week to go through, which isn't too much if you think about it on a nightly basis. And then finally, there are 3 written things that you must do this week. Now again, you might be like, oh man, 3 writing assignments. But the writing assignments are formatted such that really you're writing about 3 pages overall, which is very similar again to writing one 3-page paper. The journal assignment is more of a personal reflection, and you'll basically only be graded on participation for the journal assignment. So you should get that done early in the week. Just engage some of the activities in the course, some of the media, and then write your journal response, or your response to the prompt in the journal. And I'm going to go to the journal right now and just talk about that. Okay, yeah, so the journal is basically you're going to watch the media for the week, or some of the media that you find interesting, and then you are going to talk about your own experience taking the critical thinking quiz, and you're going to do a self-evaluation of where you believe you are starting out here in terms of critical thinking and logic. So again, just get that done, just 400 words or so. Write a reflection piece. You don't need to worry too much about the structure or grammar. Journal activities are going to be graded more on content and engagement rather than the logistics of the assignment. The 2 written assignments that you have for this week include 2 400-word essays, so a little over a page. Please abide by all minimum word counts. The first essay is you are going to choose either Plato's Allegory of the Cave or Du Bois's Of the Sons of Master and Man, and you're going to write a 400-word essay that answers the questions that are listed in those 2 prompts. So for example, in the cave allegory, it says, identify all the stages in this movement, in the movement of the person in Plato's Allegory of the Cave, and then explain how the allegory relates to human life. And then you're going to think about what Plato's trying to convey about the nature of social reality and the outcomes of that reality for most of us. So as you engage and analyze the allegory of the cave, think about what is Plato trying to tell me here, either about social reality and the way that humans view nature and things, or what is Plato trying to tell me here about the person, him or herself, the nature of my soul and the way that it views things. And so then you'll do your best to answer that question. So you'll read the allegory, again, read it, see my video about how to read philosophy, read it very slowly, read it in repetition, and then write about that. If you choose Du Bois's Of the Sons of Master and Man, you're going to be writing about the interactive relationships between whites and African Americans in society. And then you're going to outline two of those relationships that Du Bois talks about. And again, see my critical reading video. I read a portion of this essay and then talk about some of those relationships, so that should be helpful. And then you're going to explain an instance from your own life that explains biased treatment of a certain ethnic group. Now, you might be asking yourself, why am I reading these things in this course, and why is it in week 1? Well, in week 1, we're beginning with critical thinking. And part of thinking critically is thinking about the way that social conditions condition the way that we view reality. And so, for example, in the allegory of the cave, people start in the cave staring at a wall, and they believe that the wall is reality and that the shadows that are dancing on the wall are reality. Something very similar could be said for our own society. So we want you to think about the way that society conditions that reality. We also want you to begin to think about stereotypical thinking. And obviously, African-American white relations in the U.S. Continue to improve, hopefully, but at the same time, there are still strong and deeply rooted issues and stereotypes and thinking in society that govern the way that these groups view each other. And so thinking about those stereotypes and examining our own presuppositions is extremely important in critical thinking. And as you see Du Bois outline these relationships, what we're hoping is that you'll be able to start to see those relationships in our own society, because they still do exist. The color lines still exist. In relation to the final activity for the week, you are to write another 400-word essay on one of the critical thinking topics that come from the Foundation for Critical Thinking. So you can choose any one of those 4 topics, and you're going to write a 400-word essay. For example, you might be interested in the difference between inferences and assumptions. You might be interested in purpose, point of view, and decision making, and how your point of view influences your decisions. You might be interested in the intellectual traits, the valuable intellectual traits, intellectual humility, intellectual integrity, intellectual empathy, and then you can outline those traits and then examine how you've either implemented them or failed to implement them, or somebody that you know, if you don't feel comfortable talking about yourself. You can talk about your own personal experience. So for example, I might say something like that recently in the news I saw that Justin Bieber didn't display intellectual humility in his court hearing for a DUI, right? And that led to a certain outcome or something like that. You don't need to use huge examples. You can use very mundane examples. For example, the difference between inference and assumption. You know, you often hear that assumptions are bad because they make out of you and me. But that's a very simplistic view of assumptions. Assumptions are very useful in our lives, and they're necessary. And inferences from those assumptions are also necessary. So for example, I am working from the assumption that it's important that I'm fully clothed when I am engaging my students, because if I were naked, that would cause some serious problems. And so the inference that I make from that is that I need to put on clothes when I'm doing my videos, and that I shouldn't just pull my shirt off or something. Very useful assumption to have. Another very useful assumption to have is that that when I flip the switch, the light will turn on. Or that when I'm holding a knife, I need to be careful because it could cut me. Or that when the light turns green at the stoplight, I assume that I have the right of way, and I make the inference by then driving through the intersection. So assumptions are not always bad things, but they can be. For example, assumptions about other ethnic groups that aren't true are very dangerous to have. Assumptions about politics are very dangerous to have. Assumptions about sometimes our assumptions about our friendships can be very dangerous and harmful. But anyway, so you can choose one of these topics and write on that as your final essay for the week. Okay, so I'll run through this again. Or one more thing I need to talk about is the discussions. Again, the discussions in this course are a little bit different. Be sure in the introductory discussion that you pay attention to the prompt. I've noticed that some of you are merely doing an intro. Click on the link that says discussion and you'll see a prompt there that guides you to the scenarios and things that you should engage before you write your introduction. And of course you can feel free to introduce yourself too. And then there's only one formal discussion this week, but you'll notice that the requirements for the discussions are posting on 4 separate days and posting a minimum of 600 words total. So be sure to get in on 4 separate days, even if that means one day, let's say you don't have much time on the internet, you can just get in there in 5 minutes, type up 50 words or so to your neighbor, to your friend, to your classmate. And then on another day where you have more time, maybe you go in and do a 200-300 word post. But anyway, 4 posts on, at least 4 posts on 4 separate days. And of course you could feel free to do more. Look for people who've responded to you, try to keep those conversations going and talking about those things. Okay, so if you have to do 4 posts, what does that mean? Well, that means that the last day you can do your initial post would be Friday. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. If you posted on those 4 days, would get you your 4 posts. But again, I recommend going in Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then do Sunday, Monday. You can split it up however you want. If you don't post on 4 days, there will be a between probably a 10 to 15% point reduction. So not too much, but I really want people to get in there so that you guys can engage with each other. You can learn more about the content and you can learn more about each other, which is what discussions are all about. And that's why we're doing this. We're not doing this to punish you. We're doing it because we want you to have a sense of community and to feel like you know your classmates and to learn from them and to engage the content. We're not, again, trying to punish you by being in there on 4 days. So here's the structure of the course one more time. Day 1, post your introduction and also take the critical thinking quiz. Remember, the critical thinking quiz is not graded, so you do not need to stress out if you don't do well in it. By Friday, you should do your readings quiz by midnight on Friday, your time. The media and library quizzes should be completed by Sunday. And then finally, by next Monday, by day 7 of the first week, midnight, you should do your journal and your Plato or Du Bois assignment. You get to choose between those, and then one of the Paul and Elder assignments. So you get to choose between those 4 options. Again, get in early, complete your journal. It's based more on your participation and your own thinking than it is on structure and format and stuff like that. So kind of use that as a free-form space to creatively think about your critical thinking skills and other things that you hope to learn from the course. And then for the other 2 assignments, you'll want to focus again more on grammar and structure and submit those things. And of course, if you run into any problems, feel free to contact me at my phone number or the email that's listed in the course under my course expectations and also listed in the Ask Your Instructor forum. Whew. Let's have a good week, and slow and steady wins the race.